Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of He Lives podcast. I'm Alistair McLean, and this is my sacred space to share the stories of my soul. Today is the Bat Spirit Part 2, Divine Orchestration. So the first one is Part 20. You'll need to watch that in order to understand this story. The bat came to me, but it held tight with its grip to the top of the cave, unable to come to life from the fear of the gift coming alive. A gift that killed me in my last lifetime. A gift that held me prisoner in fear. And this will make sense in the story. But today I release that grip by sharing with you first, so that you hear it. I will share with you my first ever song. May the love and light of the Creator grant my wish true. May the gift of music be granted unto me again. May the gift be entrusted to me so I may awaken the DNA within to remember who I truly am once again. And may the world rejoice. Let love reign untouchable once again. May everything that is not ours fall away. The wings open, and the true sacred feminine and masculine fly together once again. Aho. He lives straight from the heart. Reborn into innocence, I release my grip on fear, and I leave the cave of darkness. Reborn again, I find the light. This strange new world, this garden, I gaze in wonder. My heart started to pump with joy. The vibrations of life began to dance within me. I step to the edge of the cliff. I take the leap of faith back into life, and I began to fly. I fly across the land. I fly across the oceans. I fly into the sky, and I found the joy of life. Joy, I found redemption. I landed upon the earth and took my journey as a man born again. I walked through the forests, guided by the winds. I walked up the highest mountains, through the whitest snow. And there I found the fire inside my heart. My name is Alfred, and I'm here to continue this grand old story of the ages. A great love story that expands the awareness of love inside you. This story encapsulates your imagination by bridging your consciousness with that of your heart. My part in telling this story is to direct you to the truth of who you are through vibration. It is my person to guide you through vibrations of love, which will allow you to access your heart just by listening to this story. This is the power of vibration. As a bat, we use echo vibrations to bounce off others, not just to see, but to feel. We feel everything through vibration because life echoes its vibration back to us. And today I echo my love through this music and through this story. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy this divine orchestration of love. I tell a grand story of divine orchestration that surfs the ages of incarnation, to share with you a story that pokes holes in the illusions of reality, so you may peek through and witness the truth of sacrifice and redemption, a man who made the impossible possible, all in the name of love. As per the first part of this story, Gaia created man and woman of many colors to live and love in unity across creation. But what was missing was the pure component of DNA that would allow the man to embody the Christed One along with the feminine, the sacred divine bloodline of the Son of God. They knew there was one who held the blood of Christ, and they tried everything they could to stop him. Through destruction and enslavement of the people of Earth over many lifetimes, they tried to stop the gift being delivered back to humanity, back to true love. Through countless reincarnations, the blood of God would be passed down to the one who would protect and thrive in love with the feminine. He would endure countless cycles of life, death, and resurrection, all in the name of finding his true love from across all the universes, to be here and now, to meet her again in divine union. And this story continues with the story of this man. Once upon a time, there was an angel who we will call King K, a king of kings who took up arms in the name of love and began his journey of divine will and testament in the name of love, bringing light to the deepest and darkest parts of creation. His path took him to the darkest parts of creation to spread the love of God so all may receive the love of who they truly are. However, not all were so willing to accept the love of God. It was here that the bat symbol of love was created as King K became the dark angel of divine will, a hero for justice and warrior of light within the darkness. His divine will of love was so great, he would go to any lengths to fulfill the will of God. And so he was given a secret mission direct from God, so great it would require the greatest sacrifices until the mission was achieved. He was no ordinary angel, not one you have ever heard of. He was an angel of devotion so strong that he became the divine gateway itself to protect the realm of the feminine, a lion-hearted angel who became a man and fell to earth, forgetting who he was, but never forgetting his mission of love. The mission was simple: help protect the feminine, protect the goddess, protect Gaia, and bring an end to the war against love. Learn the ways of the Antichrist, infiltrate them with love, become them so you may feel and learn their pain, and through their pain find redemption from within. bringing them back to the love of God. Bring your brothers and sisters home, ending the unnatural shadow of denial in the face of love, the death of the Antichrist, and the rebirth of Christ. It was an enormous task that would require divine orchestration, and he could not do it alone, nor would he, because he, like God, had his own divine counterpart, his twin flame, Queen Avenir, the goddess of creation, and she would not be denied, for it was and is the divine will of God and Goddess to be reunited, bringing the antidote of the Antichrist back to earth, to be met in divine union at the center of it all, ending the war of separation between man and woman, reuniting earth as one with the universe and all of creation. To accept this task was one of the greatest and most challenging destinies all of creation, the destiny of divine union, winning the game of love by healing the wound of separation between man and woman. At every opportunity, he embodied the divine will of God. Be as I would be and do as I would do, my son. And this is the path he took, the path of God's divine will and testament, to live and be a man in God's image. It was on earth where he would meet his divine counterpart, to take the divinely orchestrated journey, to learn the ways of darkness and be reborn back again into the arms of love, ending the war. He was blessed with the sacred keys to unlocking the divine gates of heaven on earth, hidden within his unique DNA, blessed with the hearts of countless others, and through the sacred initiations of life, death, and rebirth, he became one man who slipped through the nets of destruction to find the way of making the impossible real. He was the divine arrow of love fired by God right at the moment of separation. The big bang of love, divinely orchestrated to win the game of love here on earth, where the goddess chose to create herself. It would take multiple lifetimes and incarnations to make sure it was possible for him to protect and deliver the keys, to fight the right battles, learn the correct lessons, and always find his way back to love. His purpose was treacherous, the most treacherous path a man had ever taken, to infiltrate the shadow of God and bring love and light to its darkness. Like a white blood cell, he had to find a way to kill the virus, so he could become the antidote, but to do so would mean great sacrifice. His initiations were grueling, and the consequences of his actions would affect all. He did not doubt his destiny because he was a great warrior of great devotion and grace, with courage to dive into the depths of hell, to reclaim his soul and burst out again, like a bat out of hell. So began the story of life, death, and rebirth, all in the name of true love's adventure, to win the game of love with his divine counterpart, living different lives, different stories, ever growing closer and closer to union. Each new life journey they began together, and each time they would seek each other out like magnets. She was enormous to him, and he was everything to her. Each life they fell more deeply in love as they played in their innocence. They watched the sun rise and set. They sang to the stars, whispering poems of love to the animals. They made love to the vibrations of nature. They danced and communed in a dance of water and fire, an alchemy of ravenous sensuality that would rumble and spark the spirits of the land in an orgasmic celebration of love. The earth would rumble, the skies would split open, and love would drench the land like an overpouring, orgasmic sign of new life. The rainbows would shine throughout the universe, and they outshone the brightest stars in all of creation, for they were the ones. Over many lifetimes, their goal was to heal the wounds that were inflicted upon them, and over time their love would bring them closer and closer together. But the closer they became to each other, the more their lives and those around them would be affected. Wherever they went, There the Antichrist would try to find and intervene, a game of cat and mouse. But who was chasing who? This is the divine game of love after all. Just when you think or believe you know what is about to happen, it will turn you on its head. They tried to prevent the unification of man and woman, and so over countless generations they searched for them. Tribes were separated and positions of power were stolen so they could prevent the unification. But that would be their downfall. More volunteers came from the cosmos to lend aid in the game of love, but their numbers were used against us by enslaving the population. This created war, and responsibility was returned into blame, and the rest of humanity manipulated into playing the game of fear. Each time they died, they would redesign their plan to overcome the odds. But they knew they would have to play the long game, to gather strength and knowledge. And one day, when the stars and planets would align, they would be able to find each other and reunite again. They were living legends whose stories of love echoed throughout creation. There were those who wished to stand and fight alongside them, and so they would be put into strong tribes with strong families to protect them, brought up in different cultures, learning new skills and magic to help them come back together. Through slavery and fear, humanity was pushed further and further into shame to make it more and more difficult for humans to choose love over fear, and so there was always resistance to overcome. They lost many parts of their soul along the way. Most became cut off from their divinity, and they became experts at hiding the parts of their souls the Antichrist wanted to kill or steal, the parts of them which could change the game. Yet they managed to do it, and they kept the bloodline safe and pure enough so that one day they would be able to remember who they were, rekindling the memory for the whole of humanity, healing the disconnection with home, and help bring back their people, ancestors, and heritage back to life and love in new and wonderful ways. Through all the different methods and cultures of shamanic magic, through countless generations of incarnated beings from different races across the galaxies and dimensions, they educated themselves and learned unknown and forgotten methods of magic and transformation that they knew one day would help them succeed. The goal was simple. First find each other, then heal and remember. Heal the karmic wounds and call back the lost pieces, all with the help of their lost ancestors who were taken. Each lifetime they forgot who they were, forgetting that they were those same ancestors they were trying to free. Each time they healed an ancestor, they remembered a little more of their story and who they were. In one incarnation, they were Jeshua and Mary. When he died on the cross, they used his sacrifice to crucify love through dogmatic religion as a threat to anyone who chose love and tried to remember who they were. They introduced religion in his name and created statues and carvings of his sacrifice on the cross. And over time, people were forced to their knees to pray to a false lie of who he was. But today he is freed from that pain of crucifixion. The more control gained over the increasing population, the more difficult it became to keep the necessary knowledge they one day needed to reincarnate and fulfill the prophecy. And so they began hiding it in places they would never look. The DNA. But the more times they were hunted and killed, the more they would have to find different ways to protect the sacred DNA long enough to carry on the heritage of this wisdom. They hid parts of themselves in stones and other places along the way, places they knew they would find again one day. The task was so challenging nobody believed it would be possible. They destroyed so much in so many parts of us that it would be a mammoth task to heal what they had desecrated. So they created a new plan, a blueprint that would superimpose itself over the old. The new blueprint was based on the shamanic heritage of healing they had kept alive, and they would find a way to intricately pass through the nets and run the maze to one day find each other in the center of it all, exploding it from the inside out. It was the long shot of all long shots, to come from opposite sides of the universe and meet here on Earth. An incomprehensible shot that would have to hit the bullseye if all were to work as planned. The plan they learned through the old ancient ways was to commoditize parts of their souls, knowing they would be trapped within their karmic harmonics of the ego and the Akashic records. By taking their soul pieces, they had unknowingly fallen for their trap, and one day they would reclaim those pieces back by healing the wounds of shame. They tried many times to make it happen, but was never the right time to permanently end a dynasty of terror. But as long as they were not caught, they would be able to reincarnate and continue the orchestration. With the help of Gaia, they were given strong bodies that would hold the coding necessary to help them reclaim their lost DNA through the shamanic healing and unique signature of love, which would remind the body and soul of the mission. This was the key in every lifetime. They would hide them in the harmonics of their soul DNA, but they needed more ways to hide, and so they used stories and art. Through the shamanic stories and fairy tales, all the codings for love would be found and were passed down generation through generation. The creation of art was the key that would help them remember and cover the divine union coding they needed to meet again. And this was the lesson they learned through Gaia. Through Gaia's love, they could transmute all the darkness into light through the power of creation. In each lifetime they created art, and in each lifetime they would remember. The dark side tried to stop it, but it was too powerful. It was the given birthright of humanity to create, and was one of the reasons they despised humanity so. They despised creation, and did everything in their power to force them to comply to stagnation and forgetting. But the art would always survive through heritage, blood, and culture, even when they tried to destroy it. Together they created art, and one day they would reunite to fulfill the prophecy of love again. Music, painting, drawings, and writings. It was all there to be uncovered and decoded, so we could uncover and remember who we were and each other. They would remind everyone of the power of art through paintings and powerful harmonics of music. She was the voice and he was the melody, and together they were the dance floor, creating lost melodies that would stir the soul and unhide the DNA. Each song a divine orchestration to help them remember. The answer was in the music. The answer was in the melodies of love and creation. It was 1972, and they had reincarnated in England. They had chosen the names Thomas and Jane, and together they were fulfilling the prophecy through art. The energy of the planet was high, and the harmonics of music meant they had a powerful chance of fulfilling the prophecy in this lifetime. They had found each other and were deeply in love. They were ready to make the dream come true, but there was still sabotage that struck. Tom had been premature in sharing the art they had created. He signed a contract with the music industry that would end his life. He had signed the rights of his music over to the company, and in doing so given the gift away. Divine intervention was used to protect the gift, and through Tom's death, the contract would be null and void. So as Tom and Jane drove home that night, Tom crashed the car into a stag on the M27. Tom died almost instantly, but Jane died later in hospital of a broken heart. The pain this accident created would make the next lifetime more challenging. How would they reclaim the gift of music after such an accident? How would they prevent it from happening again? It's March 12th, 1976, Jane reincarnates and is born as Hazel Jane Evans. It's December 25th, 1981. Thomas is born Alistair Thomas McLean. On December 13th, in the year of 2020, they are reunited and they begin their journey anew, knowing this is the time of fulfillment of their love. They only need the art, and she had already begun. She drew the coding for divine union, and together they remembered who they were, and together they fell in love again. They faced multiple betrayals and sabotages from those who wished to prevent their love again, but they would never give up because they had each other, and now they intend to deliver that gift. It is now the prophecy can be fulfilled, where we can follow in the footsteps of love, as we all come together to heal the wound of separation and unite once again as warriors of the rainbow, returning pride back to humanity and divine justice finally being served through our own divine leadership. Oh, I'm tired. I have tried so long to deliver this message. I began writing, channeling this message in April, and it's now July. I was sabotaged so many times. My awareness was taken, and Hazel and I have been taken to the brink of collapse and even death, without exaggeration. We ran out of all of our savings, and we had to overcome commoditization. But we know we're going to succeed. But we can't do it without you, without the people. We really need your help. We really need your donations. And we need those donations to make our plan a reality, a foundation for the people, for the world to heal and undo all the damage and recreate a new earth, a new world based on the foundation of love. We need your donations, so please make this a reality. So the bat, let's talk a little bit about the bat. The bat is very much about grip. It grips onto the cave of ceiling, living most of its life upside down, its feet on the universe, afraid to come down to the earth and see things the right way up. So this is what the majority of the masculine have been doing. This is how dogma tries to make us hold on to our lies instead of loosening our grip on control and embracing our humanity with our feet on the ground, on the earth, connected to Gaia, to the feminine. But because of the betrayal of Gaia and the shame involved, there's been a lot of denial of that. Just as the bat is a fighter for justice, it's a shadow. Its shadow is as real in the old world where vampires are blinded by the light of their own mirror and they turn to dust, because as we become closer to our own divinity, the mirror becomes brighter and the shadows of who we were all turn to dust and fades away. They tried this with COVID. It has bat DNA in it because they used it to stop us from ascending, causing us to deny our own light. That's what it's for. I didn't take it, the jab, luckily, but I do know that it can be reclaimed through redemption by turning towards the light. Love is our guide now. Let's not deny that anymore. Remember, the shadow of the bat is all about denial. That's in part one. And so by turning towards the light, we can heal anything. When I first started working with the bat, it told me it was part of my divine purpose to find redemption. And then I discovered the gift of redemption comes from embracing the gift of life. But you cannot live without first dying. So I had to go through the process of dying. It took me many different smaller ego deaths and several big ones, so I could then be reborn into life. This is the gift of reincarnation. But you can reincarnate through walk-ins. We don't have to die, and this is the process that I learned that was passed down to me through the feminine. Through my walk-ins and through my journeys, I have received the energy of Christ consciousness, and I have received the sharing of this gift from my partner Hazel, because it can only be shared by the sacred feminine. It was part of my divine purpose to protect this wisdom, so together we can return it back to the heart of humanity, the gift of reincarnation in this lifetime, so that we may rebirth ourselves as we truly are, so that we may all be Christed ones. This has and always will be my greater purpose, so that we may all again live in the garden of paradise without fear. The sacrifices Hazel and I made in the name of love have been staggering across all lifetimes, and we really wish to make a significant change in the world, because things are really going to change in a big way. We've known this for years now, but we are only just coming out to spread this message, the message of why we are here. And the time is now. The Christed one is not one man or woman, it is many, because Christ is the light of God within us. We are the innate soul reborn into a vessel. All the old stories of love and divinity are true. We've lived them. You are the light of God. You are divine. And the karmic debt has been fulfilled. It's time to celebrate. Time to shine.